GH.
What's up, man?
All right, so news broke. Dana White, TKO. It's UFC and WWE, their parent company, TKO, partnering with Turki Alalshikh to make the very first boxing league.
Yeah.
How you feeling about that?
I mean, after thinking about it, I like the idea because it's more boxing. The reason I like the idea is because it's a lot of fighters around the world who don't get their recognition, they don't get chances, and I feel like this is another outlet for guys to be seen and to become something. We got situations, not league, but other promotion companies, like the OTX. We got the Pro Box. We got things like that. This, I believe, will be a little bit different, and I believe it'll be probably have a bigger look to it. But I like the idea because it's just more boxing. You know what I mean? As long as they don't change the outlook of the ring or nothing like that, I'm good with it because it's more boxing.
I see guys criticizing the idea of the league. Yeah. Here's my thing, yo. Anybody that wants to invest in the sport, anybody wants to give something new a try, because we complain about boxing structure, we complain about the sanctioning bodies, the corruption, etc. But then when somebody tries to do something new, we kind of push back on it because it's not the traditional boxing. But the reality is, let's see. Let's see before we criticize. Let's see how it works. You know what I mean? Like,
let's see what happens.
You don't even know what it's going to look like, but you got guys speaking out against it.
My example to that would be the D League. The D League, I remember being like, what's this? But then when you look at it, you find gems. You find gems in the D League. There's been guys who get promoted to the NBA from the D League. It's guys who get demoted to the G League. My bad. G League.
So no, it was originally called the D League. They just turned it into the G League.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So, all right. We on the same path then. But all I'm trying to say is, listen, it's an outlet. It's an outlet. The thing is with Turki Alalshikh, you see where you can go. A lot of guys in boxing, they don't admit to it, but they don't know where they're going to end up. They don't. If they're not a big attraction, if they don't have the core, not core fan base, but if they don't have a large fan base coming out of the amateurs, if they don't have the decoration of a decorated amateur, if they don't have that, then they kind of gonna be a local legend until they get that call. But when you got other options like TKO with Turki Alalshikh, Dana White, you know what I'm saying? What happens is people become familiar with you, and now you can become a bigger name. And so when we do see you fight in a bigger fight, bigger opponent on a bigger card, it's like, oh, I know that guy. I've seen him. You know what I'm saying? So I like it. That's why I say I like it. You know what I mean? At first I wasn't with the TCL, but then when I went to a couple events and then I realized what they was doing for fighters, you know what I mean, as far as keeping them active, traveling, things like that, it's a good thing because you don't lose hope as a fighter. In today's world, you can lose hope because they want you to be perfect.
I forgot about the TCL, so I apologize. Not the first league, because the TCL is the first league. Yeah. But the first, not team boxing league, singular boxing league.
Yeah. And, and the rules are different. The rules are the original rules, things like that. But like I said, it give you hope. You know what I mean? I like it. It's a lot of guys who not going to get a shot if we wait for Al Heyman, if we wait for Turki Alalshikh, if we wait for Bob Arum, if we wait for Golden Boy. You're not going to get a shot.
Oh, man, you come from a small country. You ain't got the right look. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole bunch of factors that go into a fighter getting pushed that a lot of people don't see that are fans. Yeah. In this kind of scenario, in like a tournament style, shit, the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, and that makes it more intriguing. And listen, as long as these guys are trying their best to call it fair, I believe you can go somewhere. It's when the things get lopsided, is when things is tough. You know what I mean? But when there's so much, and I know the game has not always been fair, and that's anything you do. Nothing's fair, really. But if they can try to keep it fair fights, even fights, good matchups and all, I think it'll be a thing.
All right, so we already touched on the Turki Alalshikh Dana White partnership. Mm-hmm. So during the face-off with Canelo Alvarez, and William Skull, Turki Alalshikh denied, I think it was the WBC belt from being on the stage. And then Mauricio Suleiman fires back, and then all of a sudden you see tweets from these fighters. Now, we know that the TKO League will only have one belt, which is the ring belt. Is this the beginning of the war of the new guard and old guard of boxing?
It could be. Nobody knows what the future looks like. But I can say Turki Alalshikh is making things interesting. WBC made a lot of money off of fighters. And that's not a knock to them. It's just that things change sometimes. And honestly, if you pay attention to life in the world, things have to change. You know what I mean, it's only written that way. So I don't know. We just have to wait and see what happens. I think it could be something as long as guys. See, here's the thing with fighters. A lot of times people say, "Oh, this guy ducked this guy," but really he know what the fight is worth. They didn't want to pay him. Ain't gonna happen. What I get from Turki Alalshikh is, okay, you want to get paid more. Why? All right, you explain to him why. You know what? That's a good idea. I mean, that's a good reason why. All right, let's see if we can get close to that number, or if we can get to that number. These other promotion companies and networks and stuff, they kind of just turn their guys down and be like, all right, well, I'll find somebody else. And that make it tough. You know what I mean? Why not get these guys the kind of money they deserve? Because train hard for it. You know what I mean? So why not?
Lamont Roach loses his appeal by the New York State Athletic Commission. They admitted that it should have been called a knockdown, but will not overturn the draw.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I thought they would make it a no contest, being that it keeps both records clean, keeps Tank with that 30-0-0. What's your thoughts when you first heard that?
That they wasn't going to overturn it?
Yeah.
I mean, I expected that. I don't really see them doing that. Tank is too big of an attraction. New York, I felt like for a while I was battling with Las Vegas for the big fights. Big fights are edging back to New York. Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia was in New York. Tank was in New York with this one, with Lamont. Tank was also in New York for, was it a Rolly?
Rolly. Wilder, Helenius, New York.
Wilder, Helenius. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is New York trying to stay in the in the mix when it comes to the big fights. So I didn't. And the reason that matters is because they lose out on a lot of big shows if they overturn it. If they keep it a draw, we get to see the draw again in New York. That's what Tank said.
As far as everybody's overreaction to the draw, how does the second fight look?
The second fight, like I said and been saying, they're going to go right into round 13. Fight's going to kick right back to where it started from, because there will be. See, the first fight was a lot of respect, because it's been a while since we've been in the ring with each other, but we know each man can rumble. They tested each other's skill and will. Now it's time to really see if I could take you there. So now we're going to see both of them really go there. So the 13th round, they're going to kick right back into gear. I mean, it might be a little slow in the 13th round, but 13th, 14th round, they're going to kick right back into gear. They're gonna get this shit rolling. And we're going to see the same thing we saw for the last 5 rounds in that fight. We're going to see that for the first 5, 6 rounds of the next fight. And what happens is somebody slows down. Somebody slows down, or somebody get hurt. And, you know. But what I don't believe we see any more antics. I think we see more of a real rumble.